Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, European Union Election Observation Mission releases report on the 2023 elections, identifies systemic weaknesses. Nearly 2 million pilgrims converge on the plains of Mount Arafat as Hajj ritual reaches climax. Traders in Kano seek divine intervention against shops demolition by the state government. And on the foreign scene, Julius Maada Bio re-elected for second term in Sierra Leone. Many thanks for joining us at this hour. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We start the bulletin in Abuja as the European Union Election Observation Mission has presented its final report on findings and recommendations on the 2023 general elections, saying it saw a demonstration of clear commitment to the democratic process. The EU EOM also says the election, however, exposed enduring systemic weaknesses, operational failures, and irregularities. It therefore recommended further legal and operational reforms to enhance transparency, inclusiveness, and accountability for the conduct of subsequent elections. The report.
The EU EOM says out of its findings and 23 recommendations, the 6 priority recommendations point to the need to remove ambiguities in the law, establish a publicly accountable selection process for INEC members, ensure real-time publication and access to election results, provide greater protection for media practitioners, address discrimination against women in political participation, both elective and appointive, and impunity regarding electoral offences.
INEC introduced some very positive measures early in the electoral process. For example, it increased the number of polling units and established a system of electronic accreditation of party agents, media and observers. Public confidence, however, in INEC was severely damaged on the 25th of February due to its operational failures and lack of transparency. While some corrective measures introduced before the 18th of March elections seem to have a positive impact, overall trust was not restored and eventually led civil society to call for an independent audit of the entire process. However, there is no legal requirement for qualification and merit-based appointments of the positions of INEC Commissioner or Resident Electoral Commissioner. Prior to the elections, selection processes were questioned, leaving the institution vulnerable to mistrust.
On the part of INEC, it noted that, despite other negative findings and recommendations, there are positives to the 2023 general elections, but recommendations from all observer groups, both domestic and international, will be put into consideration while implementing the ones that border on administrative, constitutional and legal issues, which will be addressed by the National Assembly.
There is no country in the world that does not have institutions that resolves both constitutional and electoral matters, especially in democratic settings. So if there are challenges with the law, if there are ambiguities with the law, if there are gaps with the law, we have our own judiciary that we look at some of these ambiguities, look at some of these challenges, and also deal with them. But the issue of appointment of national commissioners and resident electoral commissioners is a constitutional matter. And if you want to amend that, you have to go before the National Assembly and the state assemblies. So the Commission has no hand in terms of that.
On the way forward, the EU delegation is expected to forward the recommendations to INEC, political parties and civil society organizations for possible implementation. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
In a related development, the federal government of Nigeria has sought the support of the European Union in its quest to deepen and consolidate on its democratic practices, particularly as it considers and concerns its electoral processes. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, made this appeal while receiving in audience the delegation from the European Union Election Observation Mission, led by its chief observer, Barry Andrews, in his office. A statement signed by the Director Information at the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Willie Bassi, says, while observing that the country made a lot of progress in the 2023 elections, George Akume calls on the EU to continue to support such progress made to advance democratic principles in Nigeria. Speaking earlier, the Chief Observer of the European Union Election Observation Mission, Barry Andrews, says the purpose of their visit was to present their final report of the 2023 general elections, which they monitored after their deployment to Nigeria. He added that the report, which comprises of 6 priority recommendations to include on constitutional, legislative and administrative. He further says that in the furtherance of their report of the 2023 general elections, the EU EOM will have a follow-up mission to Nigeria after 2 years in order to engage with Nigeria's authority on the status of the implementation of its recommendations. Now, Chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences, ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasanoye, says many grants from the World Bank are marred in corruption. The chairman said this when he hosted a delegation of the Economic and Organized Crime Office of Ghana. Owasanoye says the political economy of the international ecosystem was not designed for developing countries to progress in the fight against corruption. He explained that Nigeria borrowed $1 billion in 1978, for example, but by 2006, the country was owing $32 billion, and it is designed that way because the rules uses IMF and the World Bank to whip countries into line when they want to challenge the debt. Lamenting how developing countries get swayed by outcomes of international surveys, the ICPC boss says it was wrong to use perception surveys to compare experience surveys. In other news, nearly 2 million pilgrims performing this year's Hajj in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have converged on the plains of Mount Arafat as the spiritual journey reaches a climax. The day of Arafat is the most vital part of the Hajj rituals, without which the pilgrimage will not be complete. Pilgrims will spend the night at Muzdalifah before proceeding to Mecca on Salah Day. Here's Sharif Al-Hassan with the rest of the story.
The day of Arafat is the most significant day in the minds of Muslims across the world. It is the backbone of the Hajj rituals. It is on this day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completed and perfected the religion of Islam. As stated or as revealed in Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah says, and I quote, "Today I have perfected and completed the religion of Islam, and therefore I have chosen Islam as your religion." On this same day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will instruct his angels that what are these people from different nations, races, from different languages, what have they come here to do? The angel will reply Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and says, these people have come to seek for your forgiveness, and they have come with their arms open to seek for their own demands. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will continue by telling the angels that tell them that anyone who prays here, any Hujjaj who is present on the plain of Arafat, tell them that his prayer is as good as answered. Where I'm presently standing is the exact point called the Mount of Arafat. This is the point where Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also delivered his final sermon before his demise.
To come here, it's not easy, but it's my dream, bro. It's my dream, but I don't know if it will be so fast like this. Wallah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Wallah.
Arafat is the most essential part of the pilgrimage, without which the pilgrimage is incomplete. A pilgrim is expected on this day to engage fully in prayers, supplications, and worship until the sunset.
You have heard from the pilgrims here how they feel standing on the plain of Arafat, and of course, clerics making sense on the importance of the day. But above all, the moral lessons on the standing on the plain of Arafat is one too many. It serves as a constant reminder of the oneness of Allah and the day of reckoning. For now, pilgrims will have to stay here on the plain of Arafat, making supplications until sunset, where they will have to move to the plain of Muzdalifah and subsequent stoning of the devil in Jamarat. From the plain of Arafat, Sharif Al-Hassan,
To Kano State now, where traders whose shops were demolished at the Koforamata Eid ground in Kano have conducted a special prayer session seeking divine intervention. While observing the 2 rakat prayers, the traders say they believe God Almighty will provide them with a better solution. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that the traders have accused the government of the state of carrying out the demolition without recourse to due process and the plight of innocent shop owners in the state. His report.
Once shop for business, but now turned to rubbles. These traders at Koforamata Eid ground appeared to have lost their means of livelihood. They say government that should have provided for them has now taken away their source of livelihood from them instead. They said their only hope, and perhaps the best of all, is God Almighty. It is a special prayer session tagged Al-Qunut by these traders to seek God's immediate intervention as their situation continues to deteriorate.
The property the government demolished in this place, that's the offhead demolished without any notice, without any court order or any proper procedure from the court.
Addressing a news conference shortly after the special prayer, these traders accused the state government of demolishing their shops and businesses without prior notice, no compensation whatsoever.
We, the affected individuals and businesses, have not been provided with adequate compensation or support to recover from our losses. The government failure to devise a comprehensive rehabilitation plan or offer alternative arrangement has further exacerbated the hardship faced by this individual. We call upon the Kano State government to prioritize the welfare of its citizens and ensure the fairness, compensation and rehabilitation measures are implemented to alleviate their suffering.
These traders say they have lost their life savings, leading to emotional trauma that will take a long while to recover.
The demolition have left the affected shop owners and traders in the state of financial distress and uncertainty. Many of them borrowed funds or invested their life savings to establish their businesses, only to witness them reduced to rubble without warning or proper consultation. The impact of this demolition extends beyond monetary loss. It also caused emotional trauma and shattered the dreams and aspirations of these individuals.
Although Kano State government assured that the exercise is for the good of the state, but these people believe that such decision has totally destroyed businesses and taken away jobs from hundreds and thousands of people across the state.
We demand that the Kano State government immediately review a decision about the shops at Pilim Igi and consider the grave consequence of its action. We urge the authorities to prioritize the well-being and welfare of the affected shop owners and traders, their families, and community at large. Firstly, we call upon the government to conduct a thorough investigation into the entire process of the demolition, ensuring transparency, accountability, and fairness.
The state government said it will set up a committee to look into the grievances of property owners in the ongoing exercise to reclaim public property. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Back here in the nation's capital, the FCT administration has declared the Trademore Estate in Lugbe area of the Federal Capital Territory a disaster zone and asked its occupants to move to higher grounds. The Director General of the FCT Emergency Management Agency, Abbas Idris, disclosed this following last week's Friday flood incident that led to the loss of property worth millions of naira. Noel Sampson has more.
On Friday last week, several buildings collapsed due to flooding at Trademore Estate. The Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, NIS, on Monday said the government should have not approved the location of the building since it is at the top of the water and as such is determinants to flooding. These, among other reasons, led to the declaration of the Trademore Estate as a disaster zone. Consequently, residents have been urged to move to higher grounds as one of the ways of preventing future occurrence of such disaster.
The FCT administration has declared Trademore as a disaster zone. So because of the consistent and persistent threat to life and property, there is nothing much the administration could do better than to declare that place a disaster zone. And what it means is that it is expected that whoever that is residing in that place should relocate to a higher ground, to a better alternative accommodation.
The Director General further shed more light on the legality of the land being bought by residents of the estate.
When they settle in that area, you know that we always say they don't have title. Ask them to show you any paper. Let them flag it for you, for your camera to take. Let them flag it. Let any one of them. You know there are many houses there. Let one person show you a paper that is allocated by the FCT administration.
Meanwhile, residents of the estate are still counting their losses as a result of the disaster.
Every day, every year, people are losing their properties and their life. Nobody has went back to his house. You can see it. This area, you cannot even sleep inside this house.
You know, say, when something affects you, the way it affects you, it can distance from your home. Some people that affected small, they're back to the house. But if they can set this camera to some houses here, nobody can go back to this house.
What we're doing now is clean up. Clean up and you're salvaging what we can salvage. Computers, laptops, equipment, furnitures. We're just trying to salvage what we can salvage for now.
We all know what the economy speaks now. So if you are asking the question, if people are going back, if they do have money, they will leave. And that's the basic truth. They will leave. Those that are buoyant are leaving. Those that are not buoyant are doing what? They are cleaning up the mess that the flood has brought, and they will go back into their home. So whether we like it or not, the question is people going in? Is there fun for them to leave?
Experts have called for flood control infrastructure such as levees, dams, seawalls, and tide gates, which works as physical barriers to prevent rising of the running water from causing flooding. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, peaceful coexistence among diverse religions and ethnic nationalities has been identified as a harbinger of development that guarantees a secure and prosperous environment. This came to the fore when Christians joined their Muslim neighbors to clear the Eid ground in Kachia local government area of Kaduna State ahead of the Eid al-Kabir celebration. Trust TV's Bello Musa tells us more.
Communal and religious crises have been rocking southern Kaduna for years, a situation that hindered development in the area. Many have over time attributed the violence to differences among Christians and Muslims. However, with this gesture from Christian in Kachia local government area, the narrative is beginning to change as they join Muslim faithful to clear Eid ground for the Eid al-Kabir prayers.
The motive is just for a peaceful coexistence among the diversity in Kachia, because Kachia is containing people of different ethnic groups, different religions. So we feel if all of us will come together as one people, because all of us are God creation, if we come together as human beings, then we'll solve part of our problem.
There is progress, because what we did last time, there was more of peace in Kachia because we did this last year to help them and promote
peaceful coexistence between the Muslim and Christian in Kachia local government.
Muslims faithful who witnessed the coming together of adherents of the two religions under one goal could not hold their joy.
We are happy and we are proud of what is happening in Kachia, with issue affecting one religion, and to see that another religion like Muslim and Christians, whenever Muslim has some work to do like this, you find Christians usually come earlier than the Muslims.
On a serious note, it's a thing of joy. We thank Almighty Allah for His blessing and for keeping us together as a united family.
They said replicating this gesture in other parts of southern Kaduna and the state in general is key to reviving peaceful coexistence among diverse ethnic groups and religions in the state.
Really, I feel to our imams and pastors to be selling this idea to our neighbors so that they emulate what is happening in Kachia.
What we did here today, I think, is a way forward for a lasting peace in Kachia local government.
Now we are working our differences to become a uniting factor. We felt those dividing factors, those things that put us apart, if we can shun them, then we'll move together, we'll have a peaceful environment. And that is what we have been doing in Kachia for the past 2 years.
The people in the area also appealed to new service chiefs to do more in order to curb the security challenges in southern Kaduna and other parts of the state. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The remains of the 3 medical students who died during a boat mishap in Cross River State on Saturday have been buried at a military cemetery in Calabar, the state capital. The police, Naval and Nigeria Emergency Management Agency authorities confirmed the burial. The Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, represented by a delegation, commended the capacity of the Nigerian Navy to respond to emergencies in the country. The delegation applauded the leadership of the NNS Victory for their swift response, which saved the lives of 11 other students on the boat. The delegation said the Navy remains a critical stakeholder in search and rescue operations, particularly in the maritime environment as well as other disaster management in the country. Commander of the NNS Victory, Commodore Vincent Barangwi, said the Navy will continue to provide safety and security to lives and property in the nation's maritime way, calling for adherence to basic maritime safety requirements to forestall such distress situations. Now, no fewer than 7 persons reportedly died after gunmen attacked Kerang community in Mangu local government area of Plateau State. The attack in the community occurred despite a 24-hour curfew imposed on the local government area by the government, following similar attacks by gunmen that claimed lives of people in neighboring communities over the past week. A resident of Kerang community, Joseph Kabir, who confirmed the latest attack in Jos on Tuesday, says among those killed were a man and his wife. He added that the victims were given a mass burial on Tuesday morning. The spokesperson of the Plateau State Police Command, Alabo Alfred, was yet to make a public comment regarding the incident as at the time of filing this report. Residents of Jos and Basa local government area of Plateau State are complaining about the sudden hike in the price of maize in the market, saying the situation is becoming worrisome. Some of the residents say the increase in the price of the commodity is making them to readjust their consumption levels. Ado Musa takes a look at how the hike in the price is affecting the common man and chicken feed producers in the state.
This is the popular Jingir market located in Basa local government area of the state. It is one of the great grain market in Nigeria, where buyers and sellers converge on Sundays to transact grain business. This year, however, the price of maize in the market, for the first time in the last 3 decades, has risen to 33,000 naira per bag of 100 kg, a situation that is seriously affecting the common man on the street. Honestly, we are not happy with what is happening. We all like cheaper things. The price of maize today is beyond our imagination. We are buying a measure at the price of 500 naira. It is not easy at all. How can a poor man survive? I used to buy 2 measures, but I have adjusted to 1 because the money I used to buy 2 measures is now for 1. Before now, you could get a mudu between 200 and 250 naira. Currently, we buy it for 600 naira, and there is no money. Everything is costly. Maize sellers in the Jingir market largely attribute the development to the removal of fuel subsidy and other social factors. Today in the market, we sold a bag of 100 kg at the price of 33,000 naira. The hike could be connected to the increase in fuel price. Those that transport the commodity to the market have doubled their transportation fare. Added to that, there is scarcity of commodity in the market. Maize is very expensive now, depending on the type you want. We have a bag of 32,000 naira and 31,000 naira. The removal of fuel subsidy is a factor because transport fare have been increased. The crisis in Mangu General area, where maize is produced in large quantity, is also a contributing factor because people are scared of going there to buy the grain. For producers of chicken feed, their capacity has drastically reduced. But farmers in the area say they are making so much returns on their investment.
The thing is too bad for us because many of the people, if them come, we tell them the thing is high now. Some of them, they will buy it. Some of them, they'll refuse. That was the thing that affects us now.
It is a welcome development. We are happy that the price of maize has increased. This is so because we have spent a lot during the farming season, and therefore we need to recover what we have spent. All the farm inputs that we bought for the farming were very expensive. We are happy with the price hike.
What I spend in the farm makes me to become happy of the price because I will buy fertilizer at the highest price. If I buy fertilizer at the highest price, definitely I would love to sell my maize, my product at the highest price. So it is the price of the fertilizer that regulates the price of the market, the price of the farm input in the market.
As the price of maize continues to go high, residents are looking toward when price of the commodity will come down to enable them buy sufficient food for their families. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Let's take a look at Benue State, where it is a new beginning for civil servants in the state as the salary drought may have come to an end following the payment of the June salary. Jimmy Azande reports that the Benue residents are expressing mixed reactions on this latest development. His report.
Governor Hyacinth Alia made good his promise to Benue workers as civil servants received their salary on 25th of June. Though a right of the workers, they appreciate the governor for not renegading on his campaign promises.
So our new governor is trying as he come into office. Immediately he's come in, we see so many changes. And people are rejoicing. Despite the difficulties we are facing for the past, as far as he came in, there is a changes. So he drops at least 1 month. Without 1 month, we have very beautiful on it because for the past administration, we get into a year. Some of them it's into a year. Some of them almost 7 to 8 months. They don't even see anything.
Others urge the governor to extend the obligation to other categories of civil servants in the state who are yet to receive any payments.
It's very joyous. Everybody's people that have collected their lot so far, even though it's 1 month, at least they know that it's a light, that's a step in the right direction. And we appreciate the governor for that because they say a journey of 1 million miles started with the first step. And this step is going in the right direction, and we are praising him and encouraging him to do more, especially the other sectors that have not gotten anything yet. And what I think is that he came on a popular mandate, so everybody minds on him, and everybody wants to see him to do his best, and everybody wants the best from him, and everybody believe him. That's why they voted for him, that this man can actually give people what they want.
Some sections of Makurdi residents are calling on the governor to do more, as they are already debt crisis caused by salary drought under the former governor of Samuel Otom's administration.
I heard one man saying, one worker saying, in Nigeria it is only Benue State that do announce salary. There is no need for announcement of salaries. The salaries are not projects that you announce. Actually the man came in, people were having feelings that the last government didn't pay them, so he will pay better. They were happy expecting these salaries, but when he came, it was 1 month. It was a normal salary, and they were complaining that if it was only 1 month, there's no need for announcement. It's normal. But they were expecting that maybe they will have 3-4 months.
As at the time of this report, some MDAs and the local government categories were still expecting their pay. Many others have besieged banks' complexes for transactions within the state capital.
This is the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, we take a look at the fallen prices of diesel across the country. Details of this and many more coming up ahead.
That's great.
Welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us on the News Hour. Here's a quick recap of our top stories at this hour. European Union Election Observation Mission releases report on the 2023 elections, identifying systemic weaknesses. And nearly 2 million pilgrims converge on the plains of Mount Arafat as Hajj ritual reaches climax. Now, prices of RAM in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, has crashed from the initial rate, with traders linking the situation to the delay in the payment of this month's salary. Reports say ministries, departments and agencies of government are yet to effect the June salary payment as a Tuesday afternoon, a situation that has negatively affected the seasonal RAM trade in the nation's capital. A RAM trader around Kubwa Expressway in Abuja, Mahmoud Abunkere, says a RAM of about 200,000 naira just 2 days ago has dropped to 150,000 naira on Tuesday. He described the situation as unsettling, going by the cost of the RAMs from their supply chain, coupled with the transportation increment charges, among other logistical issues. Another RAM trader around the makeshift market, Suleiman Muazu, says he spent about 7 years supplying RAMs to the FCT during the annual festivity, saying he's yet to see his regular customers, as most of them were lamenting the delay in the payment of the salary. A RAM buyer, Muhammad Kashim, says he used to buy about 7 RAMs every other year, but he has to reduce that number to just 2 for this year due to the economic realities. Staying with the festivity, Muslims in Lagos who want to sacrifice a big ram for this year's Eid al-Kabir celebration would have to cough out about 1 million naira or settle for a much smaller size ram due to a price hike. This is as sellers lament low patronage ahead of the Eid al-Kabir celebration. Trust TV's Abbas Ibrahim Dalibi visits ram markets in Lagos and now reports.
On Eid al-Akbar, Muslims demonstrate their obedience to Allah the Most High by sacrificing animals. However, many may not be able to make the sacrifice as the price of the animals have gone beyond the reach of many. Mohammed Bashiru, who come to Isherikara market along Lagos-Ogun State border axis, said he initially planned to purchase 2 rams at the rate of 150 naira, but left with the option to buy one at 130,000 naira.
And the price is too much. That's it, the price is too much. No fuel, no anything. You understand? The traffic is too much. So look at this one now. He said 150,000 naira. Last price, we are pricing it 120. Say no money. You plan 150, maybe we can use it to buy 25.75. So the price is not so that we cannot just say we should buy one. Maybe in 120 or 130. Say 150 last.
Another buyer, Olamilekon Aliyu, said he spent 2 weeks on the market survey before he finally got rams at Isherikara market, which he said their price is more affordable compared to other places in Lagos.
I won't buy like 4. Go another place. The ram, yeah, where I come, I like the price. Like 2 weeks, I don't buy one before. I won't buy remaining 3 for a year.
Suleiman Baban Abukura, who sells rams at Abattoir market in Lagos, said that bigger rams are sold between 700,000 and 1 million naira to above.
So even this one, then brother 800,000, I no gree seller.
Why?
And then my money no come, and then I'm looking for profit.
Okay.
So and then we have 700,000, 600, 500, even 400,000 we get up.
Okay,
but put that one as small one.
Okay, you are saying 500,000 ram is a small ram. Why?
Yes. Because when you see this one, you see 500,000. This one, it bigger more than that one.
He said the hike in the price of the animals in Lagos may be linked to increase in transport fares and animals' feeds.
Because of transport of the money.
Okay. Another trader, Mustafa Dendere, explained that smallest rams in the market is sold between 80,000 and 100,000 naira, while medium size costs from 200,000 and 500,000 naira.
Wannan 250, wannan 130. Shi kuma wancan naira 70.
Other traders attribute the hike in price of the rams to naira devaluation, as most of their rams were purchased in Cameroon, Chad, and Niger Republic. Islamic scholars have advised Muslims not to worry if they cannot afford the sacrificial animal sacrifice, as it is only obligatory on those who have the money. Abbas Ibrahim Alibi, Trust TV, Lagos.
Now, in a similar vein, residents in parts of Rivers State, especially Muslims, have lamented the outrageous cost of rams, saying it has deprived them of the opportunity to celebrate the Eid al-Kabir festivity the way they had planned to. Speaking to Trust TV on the sidelines of the Salah celebration, some of the residents say the cost is rather exorbitant and completely unaffordable for most of them. According to Idris Shehu, provision store owner in Nasara community in the outskirts of Calabar, he is unable to afford a ram because the price of one goes for as high as 120,000 naira compared to the previous price of 70,000 or 80,000 naira. He, however, admitted that there has been hyperinflation in recent times and blamed the government, which he said has not been able to control the forces in the market. In an interview, the chairman of Ram Sellers Association in Calabar, Isiaka Mohammed, blamed the high cost of the animals on extortion his members are subjected to while conveying the animals from the northern part of the country to the south. He explained it is not really the high cost of fuel that has affected the price of rams, but what he termed settlements on the road from the north to the south. The Inspector General of Police, Olukaide Ebetokun, has directed Zonal Assistant Inspector Generals of Police and Commissioners of Police to deploy personnel and equipment to ensure adequate security throughout the Eid al-Kabir celebration. He also ordered them to carry out patrols on major highways to ensure the safety of worshippers across the country. This was contained in a statement released on Tuesday by the force spokesperson Muyiwa Adejobi. He, however, warned personnel deployed for various assignments during the celebration to remain disciplined, professional, and respect the fundamental human rights of the citizens. Adejobi also restated the police resolve to curb insecurity across the country. Now, as part of measures to grow the private sector for HIV self-testing to achieve the UNAID's 95-95-95 strategy and achieve the 2030 Sustainable Development Goal of ending AIDS as a public health threat, stakeholders have begun dissemination and charting the roadmap for scale-up. This, they say, is targeted at encouraging and increasing the demand by people to know their HIV status, use the self-help kit, and create increased linkage to treatment and prevention among other HIV ST users. Here's the report.
HIV testing in Nigeria and other parts of the world before now was only provided at health facilities and through population screening efforts such as free HIV testing campaigns and other programs. But after the introduction and approval of the HIV self-testing kit, which increased access and brought about an uptake of HIV testing services over the past decade, a significant proportion of people at high risk still do not know their status. Stakeholders are therefore advocating upscaling HIV self-testing kit through availability, affordability, and usage within the private sector and activation sites of service delivery, policy, and regulation implementation.
We have more Nigerians seeking healthcare in the private sector, almost 60%. And so if 60% of Nigerians seek healthcare in the private sector, then we must begin to look for ways to put these services within the private sector. Because if you don't do that, it means that you are skewing away a sizable amount of Nigerians.
The confidentiality is there. The comfort of being able to do a test in your own home, in the privacy of your own home, is important. But we just don't want to sell the kit. Okay, we want you to be able to know why you're doing it. We want you to know what the kind of results are and what they mean, and to know that there may be a need for you to do a confirmatory test, because these are just, and I need to stress, these are screening tests.
More measures are said to have been put in place to sustain subsidization and access to care in order to ease the burden of the disease in the country.
We should remove all tariffs from HIV test kits, and we should have the same thing that NAFDAC is having, 5+5 plan. When you register a test kit for the first 5 years, government should give you incentives, no tariff. When you register for another 5 years, no tariff. At the expiration of 10 years, you should be able to manufacture locally.
But when there's competition to drive down the price, there will be option. Right now we have the blood-based, we have the oral-based, so that will create more option for the clients, price issues, availability issues, competition, and then that will help even the private sector thrive the more.
One of the things that we are doing in the government of Nigeria is to also push for the state ownership of the programs. And develop policies, whether you want to talk about local production of vaccines, local production of medication, that sort of thing. These are the policy directions that we are, those discussions, they may be in their infancy, but they're stuff that we need to grow.
The Joint United Nations Programme on HIV and AIDS, UNAIDS 95-95-95, targets call for 95% of people living with HIV to be aware of their status, 95% of those aware of their status to be on antiretroviral therapy, and 95% of those on ART to achieve viral load suppression with the aim of ending AIDS by 2030. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The price of automotive gas oil, known as diesel, has crashed from above 800 naira per litre to just about 650 naira per litre in the last few weeks. The truck drivers in Gombe State say the fall in the price of diesel is a welcome development as it will ease their operations. However, it is not certain if the current diesel price will remain, as the federal government has commenced the implementation of the 7.5% value-added tax on diesel. Here's Ibrahim Ismail with the rest of the story.
Last year,
When a litre of diesel cost more than 800 naira, truck drivers and businesses were the most hit, and costs of transportation of goods were also increased. It is, however, good news now for truck drivers as the diesel price crashed by more than 190 naira. Alhamdulillah, we used to buy a litre of diesel between 950 naira and 1000 naira, but the price has crashed to 670 naira and 700 naira. We wish diesel price will continue to crash. Prices of goods will decrease. People will enjoy. The truck drivers said the drop in price of diesel is now reflective in their operations, making them to cut cost of transporting goods from different parts of the country. We have reduced the cost of transporting goods. If it cost 5,000 naira to transport a bag from here to Port Harcourt, it is now 4,500 naira. Before, it cost 1 million naira to transport fertilizer from there to Gombe, but it is now 900,000 naira. But it is now left to be seen if the diesel price will continue to go down, as the federal government reportedly is set to commence charging a 7.5% value-added tax on diesel. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
The Bayelsa State chapter of the Nigeria Union of Teachers has threatened to embark on a strike action and shut down schools across the 8 local government councils of the state if the 30,000 naira minimum wage is not implemented for primary school teachers. The NUT, while also frowning at the arbitrary reduction of teachers' salaries, step 1 to 2 by some government officers at the state and education authorities in the local government areas, described the act as one bent on frustrating teachers, which may hamper the education system in the state. The teachers' body, in a statement on Tuesday signed by the chairman of the NUT in the local government areas in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital, expressed displeasure over the inability of the state and local government councils to implement the 30,000 naira minimum wage for primary school teachers in the state. The union says the ugly trend has brought an untold hardship to primary school teachers in the state, as other workers have been receiving the 30,000 naira minimum wage since 3 years ago, while that of primary school teachers remains to be implemented. According to them, for the crucial role of teachers, their welfare should not be compromised or sacrificed on the altar of neglect and abandonment, because teachers are the determinant of the development in the society. Now, the Kogi State Federal High Commissioner in the National Population Commission, Jimo Habibat Isa, has said over 200 billion naira was expended on the 2023 population census project before it was postponed. Isa disclosed this in Lokoja, the state capital, on Tuesday at a meeting with media executives for the 2023 population and housing census. He said the federal government cannot afford to waste such a huge sum of money without completing the population census project as planned. While acknowledging that the suspension of the exercise was timely and in order, he stressed that it will afford the Commission the needed time to put things in the right perspective. He said the census exercise was temporarily suspended due to logistic challenges, stressing that the demarcation of the various communities in the 21 local government areas of the state have been concluded. Meanwhile, the state chairman of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Adeza Momo, assured the Commission of the full support of journalists in the state for the exercise to achieve its objectives. President Bola Tinubu has met with his predecessor, Muhammadu Buhari, in London in the United Kingdom. The outcome of the meeting between the duo is not yet known, as details of their discussions were not made public. However, some presidential aides released pictures of the meeting between the two on social media. Tinubu had departed Nigeria on June 20th to participate in the 2-day New Global Financial Pact Summit held in France. This was his first official trip since he assumed office on May 29, 2023. The Bayelsa State government says the state's account for about 25% of oil spills in Nigeria between 2006 and 2022, with a total of 3,508 cases out of the 13,251 spills in the country. It is therefore urged the oil companies to clean up the polluted sites. Director New Media to the Bayelsa State Government, Kola Oredipe, while speaking with members of the Federated Correspondence Chapel of the NUJ in Yenagoa on the report of the Bayelsa State Oil and Environmental Commission, stated that the findings of the commission were shocking, as the state experiences a spill every 12 hours for the period of 14 years. He commended the immediate past governor, Sirike Dixon, for initiating the idea of the commission to stop the environmental genocide in the state. He says the report of the commission has highlighted that Bayelsa State is the most populated area in the world due to the negligence of the multinational oil companies. Speaking on the issue of perennial flooding in the state, he says the government had created Directorate of Flood and Erosion Control to prepare adequate response in conjunction with the Ministry of Environment to open up blocked drainages, canals and water channels. Now, the World Bank has thrown its weight in support of Nigeria's federal government's subsidy removal and the exchange rate unification. This comes weeks after President Bola Tinubu's inaugural speech on removal of subsidy and the need to unify Nigeria's exchange rate. Speaking at an event organized by the World Bank to assess the nation's economy in the last 6 months on Tuesday, Country Director Dr. Shubham Chaudhary explained that the policy, though painful, remains key to rebuilding the Nigerian economy. Chaudhary, however, advocated measures that will reduce the impact on the people going forward. He further stated that the World Bank's concessionary funding to Nigeria currently stands at over $10 billion. Also speaking, a lead economist at the World Bank, Alex Synart, says the removal of fuel subsidy is projected to achieve an estimated fiscal gain of about 3.9 trillion naira in 2023. Looking at developments on the international scene, Sierra Leone's President Julius Maada Bio has been re-elected with a 56.17% to serve his second term. This is according to the head of the Electoral Commission on Tuesday, following a process disputed by members of the opposition. His main challenger, Samora Kamara, came second with 41.16% of the vote, according to the final results announced in Freetown by the Commission Chief, Mohammed Kenemui Kone. Vote tallying had already been disputed by the opposition All People's Congress, which condemned in a statement on Monday an alleged lack of inclusiveness, transparency and responsibility by the Electoral Commission. The party pointed to the lack of information about which polling stations or districts the ballots were coming from. During a Monday evening press conference, European Union observers say a lack of transparency and communication by the Electoral Authority had led to the mistrust in the electoral process. The monitors say they witnessed violence at 7 polling stations during voting hours and at 3 others during the closing and counting stages of the election. Now, at least 3 people were killed when a 14-story apartment building collapsed in Egypt's northern coastal city of Alexandria. The high-rise in the Mediterranean city's neighborhood of Muntaza collapsed early on Monday, and initial reports say 8 people were missing beneath the rubble. On Tuesday, the city authorities confirmed that 3 bodies had been pulled out of the rubble, and they did not say if anyone remains missing. 2 people were reported injured in the collapse but have since been discharged from hospital. It was also not immediately known what caused the collapse, but such incidents are common in Egypt, where shoddy construction is widespread in shanty towns, poor city neighborhoods, and rural areas. The city's governor, Mohammed Al-Sharif, says search efforts at the site were underway and that an investigation into the cause of the collapse was being launched. Some 16 families lived in the building as full-time residents, while the rest of the apartments were being rented out to beachgoers that come to Alexandria for a break during the scorching summer months. Egyptian authorities have in recent years launched a crackdown on illegal constructions and in many places moved residents from unsafe houses and shanty towns to newly built cities. In sports, Manchester City have signed Croatian midfielder Mateo Kovacic from Chelsea for an initial sum of £25 million. The deal for the 29-year-old is also worth a possible £5 million in add-ons, and he has signed a 4-year contract with City. His arrival follows the club announcing Ike Gundogan's free transfer to Barcelona, while City have had a £90 million bid thought to have included an £80 million initial payment for England midfielder Declan Rice, rejected by West Ham. Kovacic joined Chelsea from Real Madrid in August of 2018, initially on loan before signing a 5-year deal. He made 37 appearances for the Blues in a turbulent campaign last season as they finished 12th in the top flight. Kovacic was part of the Chelsea side who won the Champions League in 2021, coming on as a late substitute in the 1-0 victory over Manchester City. At the international level, Kovacic has made 95 appearances for Croatia, playing every game as they finished third in the 2022 World Cup. Tottenham have signed Italian goalkeeper Guillermo Vicario from Serie A side Empoli on a 5-year contract. He's the second signing on the new manager Ange Postecoglou after Sweden midfielder Dejan Kulusevski turned his loan spell into a permanent move. Vicario, 26 years of age, impressed in his 2 years at Empoli, earning a first international call-up last season. Spurs captain and current #1 Hugo Lloris has 12 months left on his contract. He started his career at Udinese and had spells at Cagliari, Perugia and Venezia before joining Empoli in the 2021 July season following their promotion to Serie A. Empoli have expected to be battling against relegation, but the 6'4" goalkeeper has helped them to consecutive 14 plate finishes. Last season, Vicario conceded just 39 goals in 31 league appearances, keeping 7 clean sheets as Empoli finished 12 points clear of the drop zone. And that is the size of our bulletin at this news hour. Many thanks for your time and company. Feel free to follow us across our social media platforms and do enjoy our YouTube live stream. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time and company.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.